editing, Zoe, very early on Sunday morning. I think the 10th of April. I discovered the other day when I was trying to make some space on my phone that I'd recorded episode 76 of the podcast at the very end of February and then completely forgotten about it. So I thought I might as well put it up for you to watch. It's only a half an hour podcast. So yes, hopefully I will try and record a little more frequently. Oh, hello, ow. Here's the puppy. Susie, chill. Oh my goodness. So yes, I thought I'd put it up for you to watch and enjoy. I will try and record another episode, but as you can see, things are a little busy here. Susie. She's just had her breakfast, so she's full of energy. Right, I'm gonna leave it there and and get the podcast going. Well, I might need to wash my hands first. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Pins and Needles podcast. My name is Zoe. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Pins and Needles UK. And if you check the drop down box underneath this video, you will see all the details of the things I'm going to talk about. As ever, I am back later than anticipated. I don't know about anybody else, but January was an absolute killer. February was no improvement, and somehow it's March. Now, this podcast is on the basis of done is better than perfect. So, excuse me. I'm recovering from COVID, and most of the time I'm fine, but every now and then I still have a cough. Somebody made me laugh when I was on the exercise bike yesterday, and I nearly expired. I have a pile of random things next to me. I'm sat on the floor in front of the mantelpiece in the front room, and I'm just going to pick things up and talk to you about them as they come. First of all, I've got a couple of books. I really enjoy reading. I don't get to do as much as I would like to. And a couple of my clients at work are also great readers. And Judith lent me The Beekeeper of Aleppo, which is by Christy Lefteri. And it's about the journey undertaken by a husband and wife from their bombed out home in Aleppo in Syria to the UK as refugees. It's a split story, which normally I don't like at all, but both halves of the story are about the same couple. And it switches between their life leading up to and during the fighting in Syria, and the other half is them in a bed and breakfast on the south coast of the UK going through their application process to become refugees, to be allowed to stay. So you read about them trying to escape, but at the same time you know that they made it. So it's an interesting story. Reading it at the same time as all of the awfulness happening in Ukraine at the moment, in some ways it felt appropriate. Why aren't we hearing about all the refugees and the bombings in the Middle East in the same way that we are about in Ukraine? So I wasn't expecting to like it, but I did very much. And I've got a friend to pass it along to, another client. So that's another tick off my Goodreads list. The other book I've got to show you is a purchase. And I won't deny I was very much enamoured of the front cover when I saw it. This is Worsted, which is a Lane publication. It's a hardback pattern book with patterns from different designers, but collated by Amy, I don't know how you pronounce it, Amy Giel of La Bien-Aimée, hence the bright yellow cover. Other knitwear designers include Stephen West, Andrea Mowry, Sylvia Watts-Cherry. I love Sylvia. She's taught a couple of classes for our Knit Tea retreat. Nora Gorn, Tiff Neelan. There's some brilliant patterns in here. It's a lovely quality publication. It has one of those ribbon bookmarks, which I really like. Unless I've missed it, there is no download code. I was hoping that there'd be a PDF download code, but there isn't. And as always with Lane Publications, the photography really is beautiful. And I bought this partly because I wanted it. There's a couple of patterns I'm very interested in. And because it's worsted, and Cartref yarn, my Welsh wool company that I run with my friend Jennie, is a heavy DK, you can totally use it as worsted weight. So in my head, I was going to get the book, knit up a sample of a brand new hot right now pattern all in time for Wonderwool in April, because Cartref and Owl About Yarn will be at Wonderwool as usual. Things seem to be conspiring against me. I have no idea if I'll manage it. But look at that. That's Amy herself. That's a beautiful jumper pattern. We have a gorgeous yellow, and I could substitute some of these other colours. And, you know, it's a fun yoke and then stocking stitch for days, which is one of my favourites. I mean, just look. It is such a miserable grey day in February in Wales. The sky is about an inch above my chimney pots. So it's a real pleasure to have a beautiful book like this to leaf through. One of the other ones I was keen on is the Tiff Neelan pattern called Stratified. I'm just trying to see if there's a... Okay, I'm just going to have to show you the small photo and have it at the edge of the camera. Can you see that? That's a colour block sweater with some eyelet detail when you change stripes. So I thought that might be a really fun one as well. And then a nice cheerful fun shawl by Stephen West. I'm tempted by that one. I've never knit a Stephen West pattern, and I would love to because his techniques look so interesting, but his style is not for me. It's just a bit much. But I mean, what better excuse to knit a crazy Stephen West shawl than for a shop sample? So that was my other book I wanted to show you. I had that up in my room, and I was just, it was my bedtime reading for a while. Okay, a work in progress. Well, okay, I've really only had 2 works in progress since middle of January. I did Angela's 12 cast-ons at Christmas, and then have really only been focusing on 2 of those, the first of which I have finished. I've knit this pair of socks for my friend Catherine. They are very late. They were supposed to be finished first weekend of February, and yet here we are. To be fair, they have been complete for a while, but because I was unwell with COVID, I've been wanting to quarantine them so that I'm not posting Catherine any germs. So there's the 2 of them. This is kind of a made-up pattern in my head. It's pretty much, it's a top-down 2x2 rib heel flap and gusset job. That's my favourite sock construction. I've used Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears, her umbrella toe, so it's a lovely rounded toe. I really like that. And all I've done is when I get to the next stripe of colour in the yarn, wherever I am in the round, I just knit one, slip one until I reach the beginning again, and then I continue to knit in stocking stitch till the next colour. So you get just a little slip stitch to break the self-striping up. What have I done? The yarn is by Easy Knits. Easy Knits Gobstopper in the Ghost Whisperer colourway. It's superwash merino and nylon. It's a 425 metres per 100 grams, so it's on the skinnier side. And when I got Catherine to try them on, before I finished the first toe, they were a bit tight and they weren't quite long enough, so I'm glad I got her to try them on. So if you're using this yarn, do consider adding in a few more stitches, possibly going up a needle size, because I do knit quite tightly for socks, and just checking the fit before you go on. As you can see, there's quite a lot left. It's a lovely yarn, so I plan to skein this back up and send that to Catherine along with the socks. So I was knitting almost exclusively on those socks. And when I really couldn't sock anymore and I just needed a little break, I've been working on my mitered square blanket. Now, this is based on a pattern called A Stitch in Time by, again, Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. I started knitting mine before she published her pattern. I was watching her podcast, I was watching her talk about it, and the pattern hadn't been released. So I just sort of worked out my own version. Hers is a paid for pattern. It's available on Ravelry and via the Bakery Bears website. I have no idea how many stitches she casts on for her tiny mitered squares. I do 31. And again, I think one of my friends has got the pattern, and I think she has you knit in strips, in horizontal strips. I do mine diagonally. So I knit one mitered square, I knit a second mitered square, and then I pick up and knit a third, and then I cast on 15 stitches, I pick up 15 stitches, and I create an extra one in the middle. So I go 2 and then 1 and then across and then across and across. And then you border it to tidy it all up. So this particular set of minis was a whole bunch by the lovely Deb of Down Sheepy Lane. There's no, I'm assuming it's merino nylon, I don't know, there's no yarn information on the label. And she very kindly sent them. Gosh, it must be 2018 when she was donating a prize for the Knit Tea retreat. And I'm just digging around in the bottom for my leftovers. So there's 9 little squares in a big square, and the mini pack I had 10 colours in it. I didn't use any of the 10th colour, which is this beautiful pink, because there was a stronger pink in there as well, and I wanted the stronger colour. And those are my, I'm dropping them. Those are my little leftovers. That's all I've got left over, tiny tweeny scraps. And for a couple of them, I was running out. So I ran out of that darker green, so I added a little bit of the lighter. And I ran out of this dark grey blue. So I used up what I had, and then I used the very last of the leftovers of this dark blue. And then I used up the very last leftovers of that mid blue. So I've got a little ombre square. So I've got, what have I got? I've got 5 all finished. There we are. And I've got one last one. Yeah, the 6th one, I just need to add the border on. And the border is just some undyed Owl About yarn, Sparkle Owl, merino nylon. And I have been knitting this blanket on and off for possibly 4 or even 5 years. And I pick it up and knit for a while, and then it hibernates again. So I've really enjoyed getting back to working on it. It's been about all my brain can handle, and it's pretty colours and it's nice and easy. And so I've been really enjoying that. I'm hoping that I can knock out the last border this afternoon or tonight when my jobs are done. And then that will be another project ticked, which is nice. I have a very nearly finished object. One of my 12 cast-ons was the Bounce blanket by Tin Can Knits, and it's finished. All the ends are woven in. I haven't blocked it yet. Again, I'm hoping to do that this afternoon. I managed to excavate the dining room table, so I'm on a roll. And this is a baby blanket for my brand new niece who arrived middle of January and who I still haven't been able to get up to see. We stayed away for the first 2 or 3 weeks because we just didn't want to bring our Welsh germs all the way down to the Midlands and breathe on a brand new baby. And then I got a horrible cold, and then I got COVID, and then my sister-in-law hasn't been terribly well, so we just haven't managed it. But I very much like the blankets. The yarn is Cerdar Colour Wheel, It's a DK weight and you get 150 grams in each ball. I can't remember the colourway name, but it will be underneath. And then the contrast grey is Hayfield Bonus DK. So the grey is 100% acrylic and this DK is 70% acrylic, 30% wool, which is perfect for baby blankets. You can just sling it in the machine. I'll block it out a little wider and then that will just stretch out the nice lace pattern. And to be honest, the socks and the blanket squares is kind of all I've been working on for the last 2 months. I mean, it's quite a lot of knitting, to be fair. It's not like I've been idle. I haven't had a great deal of time and I did want to get those projects done. So I'm pleased that they are almost ticked off. I'm hoping to get the socks in the post later this week. What else do I have? Ooh, a little bit of spinning. I think this is another 12 cast-ons project. As part of my Advent swap, Angela carded up some alpaca fleece that I had passed on to her from a friend with some non-specific wool. And she made me up a little bat. I think it was about 40 grams, 30, 40 grams, I can't remember. 20% alpaca, 80% wool. And it's the first time I've ever tried spinning from a bat. And I wanted to try and have a go at woolen spinning, which I'd never done and had built up into a big thing in my head. I dug my Ashford Traditional out for this. I didn't want to use the e-spinner. I don't feel like I have as much control. And I did a short backward draw for this. Not quite long draw, but almost. Short backward draw, and I just did pinch and release. I didn't smooth the single back with my fingers as I went. It poofed up loads. I was sort of just letting it become whatever thickness it wanted, and it looked to me like a 4-ply when I finished plying it up. But when it hit the water, it really grew, and it's the most delightful, fluffy DK weight 2-ply in a lovely oatmeal colour. It's kind of the same as our undyed Cartref. The alpaca was a sort of a nutty brown chestnut colour. And I'm really pleased with it. I'm pleased I just dived in and had a go. I've got a useful amount. It might be nice for something like a contrast colour in a hat or a pair of mittens or something like that. And it's just given me the confidence to have another go. I've signed up for Angela's Mystery Spinning Box, which will be coming later this month. First or second week in March, I think she's posting them out. And you could choose if you wanted Rolags or a bat. So I ticked Rolags because I've never spun with Rolags, and so I will be continuing my woolen spinning journey. The other thing I picked up from Angela, she has a brilliant D-Stash account on Instagram, and she's selling off in bits and bobs, excuse the rustling, the old shop stock from when she had to close her bricks and mortar store. And I absolutely could not resist these 3 balls of Rowan hand knit cotton. That's pretty accurate colour actually. This is shade 316, 50 grams, 93 yards, 85 metres, and it's a DK weight. And this is pretty much exactly the colour of my kitchen cabinets. I've knitted 2 or 3 dishcloths, one of which has gone missing, and the others are looking decidedly ropey. So I couldn't turn down the opportunity to knit myself some new dishcloths that would match my kitchen cabinets. If anybody has any pattern suggestions for dishcloths, that would be great. There's one I saw that's sort of round but with points all around the edge, and I can't remember what the pattern of that is, so I need to go away and look those up. So yeah, that might be my next brainless cast on. Pause for Ribena. Ooh. I've got quite a few months worth of yarn from Knit Crate. Knit Crate is an American yarn subscription box company, and they approached me to become part of their ambassador scheme, and that means that they send me yarn for free, and I talk about it on YouTube and on my social media. My opinion is my own, but this is free yarn, and in return, as part of the affiliate scheme, if you sign up to their subscription box using the link down below in the show notes, you get, I want to say, 20% off your first month, and I get, what do I get? 20% of that first order and 2% thereafter? I can't quite remember, but it's an affiliate scheme, warning. Anyway, they send me yarn, which I very rarely keep. I give it a squish and then I put it in the Knit Tea Retreat prize boxes, or I give it away to friends, things like that. And I signed up for the 4-ply option because I find it's most useful. If I'm giving it away, it's the most versatile thing. So this one is Uru Yarn's Flicker Sock in the colourway Lodge, and it's a merino nylon stellina. So it's this steely grey. It's looking a little lilac there. It's more grey. Very beautiful. This one is Knitology Comfort Sock. It's 100% superwash merino, and I think this is pumpkin pie or pie crust. They mislabeled it. They've told me it's lemon bar, but I know it's not because it's not yellow. But that's another gorgeous autumn colour. That's a good gnome yarn. Knitology Tweedy Sock in the colourway Bebop, which is 80% superwash merino, 10% Donegal Neps, 10% nylon. And that's a lilac and slightly grey tweed yarn. Really lovely. And then Uru Yarn's Happy Feet with the colourway Jasper. 60% merino, 20% kid mohair, 10% silk and 10% nylon. So hopefully you can see there's a little bit of a halo to that, and it's super soft, and it's this sort of tonal pale ice blue. So obviously I haven't knit with any of them. They're all still hanked up, but they're all gorgeous and soft, and I do love the colourways. The paler ones aren't my colours. So yeah, these will all be going into the prize pot. That's all the knitting and crafting content I have for you today. Those of you that follow me on Instagram will have seen that we recently got a new puppy. So we've got a 9-year-old Labrador, black lab, called Jim the dog, who I'm sure you're all familiar with. And we got Susie Sue, another black lab. When did we pick her up? End of January-ish. So she's been with us just over a month, and she's gorgeous. Very bitey, very bouncy, loves people. That's another reason why I've been struggling to find the time. I forgot quite how busy puppies can keep you. I took her down to the beach this morning with Jim, so I'll leave you with a little bit of beach footage of Susie Sue and Jim the dog. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking with me. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up, click subscribe so you don't miss my all too infrequent episodes. And hopefully I will be back to talk to you soon. Bye.